All right, this is assignment 1-1. The best way to do an assignment with me is for you to do it first. And then press play and see if you did it right. And if you need support, press pause up to the point where you don't need support anymore and try to be as independent as much as possible. All right, question number 1. Find the slopes of these lines. So here you're given a slope. Off a graph, it's rise over run. So between these points, it's a rise of 4 and a run of 3. Now, we're going to do our work on a different piece of paper. So I just have this one here. I'm going to label it or title it Assignment 1-1. Here it is. So for question number 1, the letter we use for slope is M. And off the graph, the answer is 4 over 3. That's simple. In question number 2, you're given 2 points, 2, -6, and 5, -12. So to find the slope, we're going to use the formula y2 minus y1 and x2 subtract x1. So we're going to use those values to find the slope that way. Remember, when you subtract a negative, you're adding. So -12 plus 6 is -6. 5 take away 2 is 3, so that answer is -2. Number 3. Again, in number 3, you're given 2 points. So again, I'm going to use that formula. So it's y2 subtract y1, x2 subtract x1. So 6 take away 6 is 0, so 0 divided by anything is 0. Number 4. Same thing. y2 subtract y1. So subtract the y coordinates, subtract the x coordinates. Be careful when you subtract a negative, you're adding. So that's 4 plus 6. So it's -2 over 10 or -1/5. All right, question number 5. Now it's questions to do with, can you write an equation of a line given that information? So we're going to practice writing it in HK form together. So the first one, you have a point and a slope. And what's the equation of that line? So it's y equals, the slope is -2. You go x and you change the sign. So it's x minus 1 and then plus 2. For number 6, we have 2, 0 and 3, 1. So step 1 is, I need to find the slope there. So if I subtract the y's, if I subtract the x's, I get 1 over 1, which is just the slope of 1. Then you just take one of the points and write an equation. So y equals, the slope is 1. I'm going to go x subtract 2 plus 0. You could simplify it, but there's no need. Question number 7. Again, the best is for you to press pause and try it first. Then let me help you through it. So 1, 7 and a slope that's undefined. Now a slope that's undefined means a vertical line. That's just x equals in the x value only. So a line that goes through this point and the slope is undefined, that is a vertical line. And that's the way you write a vertical line. And I only need the x coordinate to write it down. Number 8. In question number 8, it says, through the point 1, 7, with the slope being 0. So if the slope is 0, then you need to recognize that a slope being 0 means it's a horizontal line. And a horizontal line is in the form y equals, and now it's just the y coordinate. So there's the answer, there's the answer. So again, you need to know this, that if the slope is undefined, that's a vertical line, that's the form. If a slope is 0, it's horizontal, and that's the form of a horizontal line. All right, a vertical with x-intercept at 4. So if it's a vertical line, the x-intercept is at 4, then it's just x equals 4. That's the vertical line. Number 10, you're given a point. Now the word parallel, so for 10, 11, and 12, they talk about parallel and perpendicular. Parallel means the same slope. So the same slope means the slope is 3, So the equation of that would be y equals 3x plus 1, subtract 3. Then it says write it in general form. So if I want to write it in general form, 3 times 3 is 3, and 3 take away 3 is 0. So it's just y equals 3x. And then in general form, you just make it equal to 0. And there'd be no fractions, but there's no fractions here. So 3x subtract y equals 0 would be in general form. Number 11, you have a point, and then you're given an equation, and it says perpendicular to this line. So step 1 is to find the slope of this line. So in order to find the slope, I'm going to subtract 2x. I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. So if I divide everything by negative 3, I get positive 2/3 plus, this is positive, right? So minus 7 over 3. Now, this is what I care about. That's the slope. Now, perpendicular is an upside down t. So the perpendicular slope would be the opposite and the reciprocal. So it's negative 3 over 2. So the equation would be negative 3 over 2. And then the point we use, x subtract 2 plus 3. Number 12. In number 12, again, you're given a point perpendicular. Now, x equals 5 is a vertical line. So perpendicular to that would be a horizontal line, which means the perpendicular slope is going to be 0 by understanding this. So through this point, I only need the y coordinate, and the answer is y equals negative 3. Question number 13. Turn the page with me. So next, can you graph these lines without a calculator? Let's look. It's okay to graph it without graph paper. It's just a line. So if I'm going to graph this, recognize the y-intercept, which is 2, and the slope, which is negative 3. So down 3 and to the right 1. So put those 2 points down and then draw your line. Good to label your axes. Number 14. X equals negative 2. That's a vertical line that goes through negative 2, and there's your answer. Number 15. 2x plus 5y plus 10 equals 0. Now there's different ways to graph a line. So let me just show you another way, just in case you want a different way to graph a line than mx plus b. I'm going to subtract 10. I can find the x-intercept by making y 0. So if y is 0, you're left with 2x equals negative 10. And when you divide by 2, that's the x-intercept. The y-intercept makes 0x, and I'm left with 5y equals negative 10. Divide by 5, and the y-intercept is negative 2. So here's just another way to graph a line. So on the x-axis, go to negative 5. On the y-axis, go to negative 2, and then draw your line through those 2 points. So that's using and finding the intercepts to draw a line rather than mx plus b. Number 16. Determine if those lines are collinear. So if they're collinear, that means they're on the same. If those points are collinear, that means the slope has to be the same between them. So if I take 2 points, 3, 5, and 7, 0. So again, that means all 3 points would be on the same line. The slopes would have to be the same here if they're on the same line. So if I subtract the y's and I subtract the x's, if I do the same thing with the next 2 points, what I hope you recognize So 11 take away 0, negative 1 take away 7. These are not. So these are not collinear because the slopes aren't the same. So if they were collinear, then the slopes would have to be the same. All right, what number we got? 17. In question number 17, we're going to use a calculator. Now I'm going to use the calculus calculator here, so you could do the work also through Desmos. It says find an appropriate window and complete this graph and show all zeros and maximums and minimums, and then draw a window rectangle on your own, indicate the scale of your graph, and give the window setting of what you're doing. All right. So I want to graph that. So with this calculator, how do you graph it? So I'm just going to clear what I have in there right now. So first of all, I want you to press this shaky calculator button. That will bring up a calculator. Now I have a bunch of stuff in there that I'm just going to erase right now. So we'll start from scratch. So the first thing you'll see is a graph like this. So again, I press this button here. I'm going to press tab, which is underneath it. And now I'm going to type in the equation. So I'm going to use the bottom of the calculator and use these to be able to do it. So if I want to type in, my nose is itchy, x cubed, then press x down there, right? And then press the arrow here on the left for an exponent. So that's x cubed. Move the cursor over. Then it's plus 4x squared. So again, I'm pressing x down here, squared. I'm pressing the squared button beside the 4. Move the cursor. Subtract 5x. Okay. So, oops. It got off the window. So, do you see how you have this nice pad right here? You can move that back to where it needs to go. And it's, again, minus 5x. All right. Then press enter. Press enter. And then there's the graph. Now, I want to create a window where I can see everything I need to. So I want you to follow the graph. Do you notice that I don't see the turning point up here on the left? I see this turning point. So I like the bottom. I need to raise the y value. So how can I do that to see more of the graph? See if it focuses in. Press menu here on the right, and then go to window, which is 4, and then the window settings, which is number 1. And so I'm fine with the x, but it's the y value that needs to go up. So we'll keep the y minimum at -6 because that was fine. But the max needs to go up higher. I don't know how high that turning point is. So let me try like 15. And do I see that turning point yet? Notice I still don't see that turning point. So it's still up here somewhere. So let me change the window again. So back again to menu and window and custom window or window settings. And then change the y maximum again. And again, there's no right answer here, like 25, 30, 35. You're going to have to try. So at 25, do you see the turn now? So if you pick 30, that would be fine too. But can you change the window to see the essential points of the graph? So there we go. So I'm going to draw that now in a little window box right here. So I'm going to draw a box. And try to match what I see. So I'm trying to match what I see. So the maximum up here was 25, and down here was -6. This was -10 to +10. So if you forgot these, remember you can go to the window settings. So you can go menu, window, and the window settings, and you can see those are the numbers I'm writing down. So -10 to +10, -6 to +25. And then when you look, I'm just going to draw the graph that I see. Just a sketch. So there's I know it's not perfect, but there's the sketch of what I see in terms of the window and so on. Do you have that ability with your calculator? All right, number 18, it says, find the zeros of what you just did on your paper with your calculator. So using your calculator, how do I find the zeros of it? Now your zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. So let me show you this calculator how you would find the zeros. So let me make sure it's nice and clear here. Press menu. We're going to analyze the graph. So number 6, and then I'm going to go to 0. Press 1, and then we're going to move this to the left and press enter. And then we're going to move it to the right and press enter. So you move it to the left and then the right, and then the number that you see there is the x-intercept. It's the 0. Now if you don't see it, notice I'm using my cursor pad. There's a little hand that pops up. See that little hand right there? Press down on the cursor pad until it closes, and then you can move it wherever you want. When you like where it is so you can see it clearly, you can press down again and it will release. And so you can see the 0 for number 18, -50 is one of them. There are 2 more zeros to find. So they're right here and here. So again, I'm going to press menu, analyze, and zeros, or 0. And you're going to move it to the left and press enter. You're going to move it to the right and press enter until that point pops up. So you see how the second one pops up? That's 0, 0, just so I have room. Oops, what happened there? So again, you could close over it. You can move it around a little bit so you can create some space for yourself on the graph if you need to. And I got one more to find. So menu, actions, no, analyze, 0. And again, move that line to the left of the x-intercept, press enter, or press down on the pad, move it to the right and press down, and then it will tell you the 0 in that interval. So that last one is at 1, 0. So we have 5, 0, 0, 0, and 1, 0 using our calculator. For number 19, it says to complete a table that they have there. So this is what the table looks like. 7, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4. Do you know how to do a table function with our calculator? So let's do that together. So to do a table here, press menu, table, and we'll do a split screen, number 1, so you can see the table. Now, if I want to edit this table, press menu again and press table and then edit table settings. I think that's what's going to help. So we want the table to start at 7 and we want the count to go up by 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. So we want it to be 0.1 to be the step. So it's 7.1, so it keeps adding 0.1. Press enter, and then when you look at the table, you can get the answers. So for these ones, they wrote them as fractions. I'm not quite sure how to change that, but it doesn't bother me that it's a fraction. That's 7.1, 7.2, and so on. If I look on the right, the decimal answer is right there. So 524.051. Oh, that's already there given. If you look off the table at 7, the answer was 504. And then if I keep going down, the next one's 544.608. The next one is 565.667. And then the last one off there, off the table, is what? 587.264. So as we go on this course, being comfortable with your calculator and the functions, that just takes time, like learning to drive a car or anything else you do, right? A new phone that you picked up. It's just going to take some time and ask questions. That's the only way you learn, and we'll figure it out together. Number 20, again, is with our calculator. For number 20, it says find f at that for the same function. Now, a nice way to do this, I just want to show you something this calculator can do, which is really nice. There it is. I want you to notice, let me get out of this. So if you want to get rid of that table, you can press menu. Let me try this again. Oh, I wonder what the best way to get out of that is. Can I just press that X up there? No. Let me see. I think table off. Let's just press menu again. Is there a table? Oh, if I want the table to be removed, I press 2. All right, simple enough. Okay, I want you to recognize that we've already defined this function as f1 at x. So if I press the shaky calculator to calculate, I can press F on the bottom of the keyboard. I can press F1 parentheses, and I can just put in whatever I want to evaluate at. So in this case, I want to evaluate at negative 2.1576. That's all. And then if you want an estimate of an answer, you're going to press Control and Enter for a decimal answer. So press Control there, and then you have the answer. We always want to round to 3 decimal places. So the answer is 19.365. Number 21, it says find the x and y coordinates of the maximum and minimum points of f at x. So let's go back to the graph. So press the shaky calculator. It's called a toggle button. So it toggles back and forth. Escape out of that. I want to find the maximum and minimum. So this is the maximum way up here. What's that point using my calculator? Press menu, go to analyze. To find the maximum, you're obviously going to press number 3. And just like we did for the 0, use the touchpad, move it to the left, press enter, press down, create the interval, go to the right, and then this that pops up is the maximum. So if you can't see it clearly, we can move it around a bit. So again, for the calculus, we're going to practice 3 numbers after the decimal. So off the calculator, that's negative 3.189 and 24.192. So that's where the maximum is. To find the minimum point, back to our calculator, the minimum would be this bottom turning point right here. So again, we're going to press menu. We're going to press analyze. And minimum, that's number 2. And again, we're going to move it to the left and to the right. And then this point that came up here is the bottom, the minimum point. And if you have a hard time seeing it, you can grab it and then move it somewhere so you can see it better. So there it is. I'm going to write that down, 0.523. And the y coordinate is negative 1.378. So there's the minimum and there's the maximum. All right, number 22. This is all using our calculator and practicing with our calculator. For number 22, it says find the intersection points of the f at x function and this, and then write the equation that you are solving. So let's see how we can do that. So to find the points of intersection, this is the equation I'm solving. So one equation is f at x, which is x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x. G at x is the new function given in that question, negative 3x squared minus 5x plus 15. So I want to solve that with my calculator. All right, so there's different ways to solve that with this calculator in terms of what's happening. So let me just show you a direct way to do it. So we're going to press the toggle button again. And if I want to solve an equation, I'm going to press Menu. I'm going to go to Algebra. I'm going to solve an equation. So the equation I'm solving is x cubed plus 4x squared. Again, I'm just typing it in using the keyboard on the bottom, minus 5x equals, using the equal button here. What's the other equation? Negative, make sure when you go negative, it's this negative, 3x squared. And then I am subtracting 5x and adding 15. So there's my equation of what it would look like. Now to solve an equation with this calculator, we need to know where the comma button is. We're going to go comma x. Now when I press comma and x, that's the code for the calculator to say solve for x. Now it's ready to solve. I'm going to go Control Enter. And we have two answers here. So one answer is negative 1.67. Or how many answers are there? Negative 1.1.3. Is there another one? So negative 1.67. Oh, there's three of them. Okay. So sometimes it's hard to see it. So the first one is negative 6.662. Now they did ask for the points of intersection. So I'll show you how we'll do the y value in a second. So the x answers are negative 6.662. The next one is negative 1.679. And then the last x value, where it intersects, is, so just highlight it and move it to the right, is 1.341. So for each of these, I still need to find the y-coordinate. So to find the y-coordinate that goes with them, remember we defined the calculator already, where the first equation is just f1 at x. So I'm going to type in f1. See if we can get focused in here. So f1, and then I type in the first value, which is negative 6.662. Control Enter. So the first y-coordinate is negative 84.836. The next one, I'm going to type in f1 parentheses, and now it's negative 1.679. Control Enter. The next y-coordinate is 14.938. And then the last one, I'm going to go f1 parentheses 1.341. And now you find both the x and the y coordinates, 2.899, or actually you could put it as 2.99900. That's fine. So this is what it would look like. Knowing how to use your calculator, we solved this equation. We found the x values, and then we found the y values by substituting back in just like that. All right, next one. It says solve that equation. Completely different equation, right, than what we've done. Right? Negative 3x squared minus, there's no plus 15. All right. So it's pretty well the same equation. So I'm just going to go back up and highlight over what we did, press Enter, and then go back and get rid of the plus 15 part. So I got, that is what I got, and then press Control Enter. And I got the answer is negative 7 and 0. So we're on 23 right now. So we have x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x, negative 3x squared minus 5x. Solve that equation. We said the answers were 0 or negative 7 and 0. And we solved it with our calculator. All right, 24. It says solve an inequality. So we have x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x. When is it less than or equal to 0? So that's what we graphed to begin with. So if I look off this graph that we did to begin with, that's what that is. Where is this graph less than or equal to 0? It's when it's below the axes. So to create the intervals, we actually need the x-intercept. So the first one is from negative infinity up to negative 5, it's below. So the first interval, so this is what I'm solving using the graphing calculator. So it's x cubed plus 4x squared subtract 5x is less than or equal to 0. So one solution for this is negative infinity up to negative 5. And it includes negative 5 because of that line. It's below the axes there. Then we have this means and. Where else is it below? And notice the next interval that it's below is this part right here. See if it'll focus in on it. And it goes from 0 to 1. So from 0 to 1, it's also below. And there's the answer to that inequality. So this is asking, where is the graph below? Where is it negative? Where is it below the axes? So here is where the function is negative. All right, 26. Two more left. In question number 26, it says find the x-coordinates of the point of intersection of x plus y equals 7 and 2x minus 3y equals negative 1. And then write the equation that you are solving. So I'm going to solve this with our calculator again. To solve this, there's different ways you can solve it. We're basically making it equal and seeing where that is. So let me just show you in the calculator how you would do it. So if I want to solve that with this calculator, press the toggle button again. And we want to solve a system. So press menu, go to algebra, and do you see where it says solve systems of equations, number 7? And we have linear equations. There's no, they both are lines. So press number 2, and then we have two equations. The variables are x and y, so that's perfect. Press enter. And then we just enter the equations in with our calculator. So one is x plus y. Again, we're using the keyboard on the bottom. So x plus y equals 7. And the other equation is 2x subtract 3y equals negative 1. That's all. Press Control, Enter, and it'll answer it for you. So the point of intersection is at 4, 3. So it says find the x-coordinate of the points of intersection of that graph. So the x-coordinate there is 4. That's all it's looking for. Using your calculator. All right, last one, 27. It says solve this equation. And again, we're fortunate we have a calculator that can easily solve it. Just type it in with me. So how do I solve an equation with this calculator? Press menu, go to algebra, solve, and the equation. Now we're solving a logarithm, so the log button is right here in blue. So press Control and 10 to the x so that you can see log there. The base is empty, so we don't need a number for the base. The base is 10 when it's empty, but we don't need to put the number 10 in there. We can just leave it empty, the base. And then inside the parentheses is 2x squared, subtract 5. Now once we have typed this in, see if I can get it focused again. So once I have it typed in, you need to move the cursor. Oops. Again, it doesn't want to focus. Sometimes it just gets a little moody with the lighting or something. I'm not sure what's happening. Sometimes if I move it closer, it might focus in or not focus in. I need to go comma X. So however it's going to figure this out with me. I think it's partly the lighting. I need to go comma X. So remember the comma button is down here. So we need to go comma and then X. And then go Control Enter. Oh, I didn't write it down. It's equal to 0. Haha. So it was like, what the heck are you doing? So make sure you go equals 0 in there. So move the cursor there. Of course, it's like not wanting to focus here at the end of the video. All right, equals to 0. So make sure you type that in. Then go Control Enter. And then you have your answer. So one answer is negative 1.732 and the other is positive 1.732. And you solved it with your calculator. And you're done. So positive 1.732 and negative 1.732. All right, Mr. G Math over and out. I'm proud of you for doing your work. Till next time.